Hello there. What is going on, everybody? Today we're going to be doing a rebel list in Ryan Kingston's fleet builder for Star Wars Armada, and I wanted to take a look at one of the newer cards that we got in Rebellion in the Rim, and that is going to be the really cool card. Let me start off with a Pelta here because I'm going to have a Pelta in here. And this is the Take Evasive action card. I really like this particular card, although I think I kind of overlooked it at first, and I'm going to kind of use this in a fleet. And basically, it's letting, when you activate this fleet command with a Nav token, during each ship's activation, they're going to be able to increase the last yaw value of your current speed by 1 during your determined course step. Now, what I like about this, a little bit more so than the other Nav one, which is what is that? That's entrapment formation. Is that this one can actually work twice, because if you have engine techs, you technically have 2 determined course steps. Now, this isn't as big of a deal on every ship, and because this is the last yaw, it doesn't work super well with every ship. Like the Pelta here, if they're at speed 1, they don't really get any advantage out of it. However, if they're at speed 2, they're going to get a little more advantage out of it because they'll have some more maneuverability. Even if they have used a Nav command, they can then get their speed 1 yaw value up to 2, and then of course their speed 2 yaw will be increased by 1 as well. And I wanted to kind of take a look at some ships that can really benefit from this, and I think the Rebels have a couple that that'll work really well together. So I'd like to go ahead and start off with an MC-80, which is definitely regarded as one of the least maneuverable ships for the Rebels. And the MC-80, I'm going to go with the MC-80 Command Cruiser. For one, it's a little bit cheaper, and it's also going to make an excellent flagship, but it definitely suffers from mobility. If we look at its mobility chart here, any time it moves, it's going to be able to take advantage of Take Evasive action. So that's actually a really good thing for this particular ship, because it definitely wants that final yaw increased by 1. The only time it wouldn't be really useful is if it had done a Nav command and it was at speed 1. However, we can even make it useful in that case because I'm going to give it engine techs. And so now we take this ship that's very slow and not very maneuverable, and all of a sudden, with a Nav command, we can take our extra yaw at the 1 if we're at speed 2, right? We'll get an extra yaw at the 2 for Take Evasive action, and then we can trigger engine techs and get another speed 1 move, and that one will also have 2 yaw. So we can now turn a ship that only had 2 clicks of yaw into having 6 clicks of yaw. So I think we're completely maximizing the benefit of Take Evasive action with a ship like the MC-80 Command Cruiser. Really fun maneuverability I think we can get with here. Now, this does mean that you may be locked into doing a Nav command every maybe not every round, but you'll definitely want to be doing Nav commands to take full advantage of this mechanic. But I think this is a really fun mechanic, and so I wanted to think, how can I come up with a way to make this into a really nasty ship? Well, first off, this is one of the reasons that I chose the Command Cruiser, because I said, hey, I want more blue dice here in this case, because I'm going to be getting in close. I'm going to be getting in close and nasty, and I think the MC-80 Command Cruiser is better equipped to get in close, because I can, I don't have the double defensive retrofit, but hey, I can put hardened bulkheads off of here. So in case I ram with something like engine techs, right? Maybe I'm going in to, ram those flotillas to death because I couldn't get the accuracy or whatever. Well, flotillas wouldn't do me a damage anyway, but ramming smaller ships, always nice. Ramming victories even, so interdictors, all that stuff, I'm not going to take any damage. So really like that. So we've got hardened bulkheads on there. It is a large ship, and I am going to put Strategic Advisor here so that I can stall. And I specifically really want to stall because I'm going to run the Defiance title, which really works well with Strategic Advisor. I want to make sure all of your ships have activated first, so I'm going to go ahead and say, no, go ahead and go. I will activate later. So I think those two really work, and as much as Strategic Advisor might seem a little bit overused sometimes and almost like a little bit of a kind of a jank tactic, I think it's just a really works in this particular build. And the officer slot is highly contested nowadays, so I can definitely see some room for other options as well. So for our commander, this is also going to be our flagship. I'm going to put Agate on here. Now this is also obviously making use of some Wave 8 cards that are not out yet. But I like the MC80 with Agate because depending on what you're facing, you're going to choose one of, I think, two different options here. I think, obviously, a second brace is a great option, but I don't think we'll absolutely need it because we're going to put electronic countermeasures on, so we won't absolutely need the second brace. However, and again, this is an option. Maybe you could choose something besides electronic countermeasures because you have Agate. You know, you don't have to do that. Personally, you could drop Strategic Advisor in a different build and put Whalix Blissix on there and get your brace back if you end up having to use it with Kirsta. So there's like a whole lot of new options that you're going to get here. But I think the other option, the one I'm probably more likely to pick, is Salvo. Salvo here is going to be really, really nice because we do have 3 dice in our rear arc, and we're also going to be close enough, hopefully, to be able to use even the blues if we do get attacked. And of course, people are going to want to go after our flagship, and we will punish them. Now, if we're facing like maybe a single ship build, maybe we'll just or like maybe a 2 ISD build or something like that, there may be reason to want to go ahead and go for that second brace just in case. You never know. But you can kind of survey what you're facing and then determine what you want to use after that. So I do have Engine Tax, ECM, and the Defiance title on there. I really am liking this build so far, but I'm going to use all of the slots. So to give us some extra really hard-hitting firepower, I'm going to put Heavy Ion Emplacements on here. We aren't going to have the ability to re-roll blue dice. However, with Defiance, we can add a blue if we need to. So that's even better than re-rolling because you're adding an extra die. I am going to give some dice mitigation, though, however, with the Linked Turbolaser Tower, which is going to let us re-roll a red every single time we attack, which is always really nice. And if maybe you happen to get a really good roll out, like a side arc shot, and you get that blue crit, maybe an accuracy, and and then your 3 red dice are all great. Maybe you add a red with Defiance, and then you re-roll that one if it doesn't turn out the way you want. So yeah, you would definitely have some options to try to fish for that blue crit if needed. We can use Defiance for that. Or maybe we just add a black with Defiance. I think most of the time you'll probably add a black, but if all your dice are perfect and you haven't used your reroll for linked turbolasers, I think you certainly have option to consider rolling a red in that case with Defiance. So I can see I can see the options for all 3 colors in Defiance depending on your roll, and I like the options and the choice that it gives you depending on the situation. And I think that's every upgrade slot for this flagship. So this is a really, really beefy flagship, 171 points for that flagship. But again, it's got ECM, hardened bulkheads, and Agate. It's going to be a tough ship to bring down. People may just ignore it altogether, but it's also going to be a pretty big threat. Now, one of the keys to running this ship, though, is you're going to have to position yourself to where you can double arc enemy ships. Now, your front arc will be only mediocre, but again, with the 2 blue dice, if you can double arc, you wanted to go for the front arc shot first. Try to trigger heavy ions on that shot, so this way your next shot, doesn't have to worry about cutting through shields, and that's kind of the biggest bang for your buck if you can manage that. But again, if they've already gone, you're going to get an extra die on each of those attacks, which is really, really cool. And of course, the extra maneuverability from Take Evasive Action combined with Engine Techs is really going to help you line up those double arc shots. So that's going to be fun. So for our next ship, I wanted another ship that would work really well. And, like, for example, if we look at the CR90, that one doesn't do too well. I think Hammerheads can do pretty well. They don't really get much out of Speed 1, but anything beyond Speed 1, they can get the extra yaw. They can get some value there. MC30s have a lot of opportunities to gain extra yaw and on their final movement and get some love out of that. Liberties definitely do. And also the Starhawk itself gets a little bit of ability to have some love out of that. Our Peltas kind of do, but I'm going with an Assault Frigate because I want to use some more Wave 8 cards, and the Assault Frigate's going to give me an option to do that as well, because I'm kind of doing the same strategy with the Defiance that I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to use an Assault Frigate Mark IIA, which is going to become one of my favorite ships in the post-Wave 8 world, I think. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to put the new weapons team on here. Now, this one isn't currently in Ryan Kingston's fleet builder just yet. So what I'm going to use is the local fire control system. Basically, this is our card that is a weapons team. It costs 4, and it's going to give you the salvo token. You'll have to swap out one of your other ones. I'm guessing we're going to try and get in close, so I think we probably swap the evade for salvo. All right, but again, it depends on what you're looking at. But since it's a 4-point upgrade, just for right now, I'm going to put Ruthless Strategists on there, or Ordnance Experts, doesn't matter, either one. So this is just a placeholder because, our other card our salvo card is going to be 4 points. So now that we've got that, we've got an Assault Frigate Mark IIA with a salvo, a brace, and a redirect. Really nice, but since those may get used, here's where I'm going to put Waylix Blissix. Again, we've only got 1 officer slot. I figure he'll probably work a little bit better here. Now, I am going to give him the Paragon title. And the idea here is the same thing as the MC-80. I want this ship to go last. I want him to have taken fire. And I want him to be able to counterattack with salvo, which will then open up Paragon for both of my attacks, so I can double arc with the Assault Frigate Mark IIA and add a black die to each of the 2 attacks. That's what I'm really hoping to manage. So I'm getting 4 dice out the front and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice out the side. That's what I'm hoping to get. And I'm going to put linked turbo laser towers on this ship as well to open up the additional options for red dice mitigation. It's just a really good card. This is also giving me really good anti-squadron options if I need to do that as well. Both of these ships have pretty good. They both have 2 anti-squadron dice. So does the Peltax, as a matter of fact. So far, all of the ships in my fleet have 2 anti-squadron dice. I am actually going out on a limb here, and I'm not going to put any squadrons in this build because I am trying to have maximum ships. But also having some heavy points ships, as you can see, which is a difficult pill to swallow. So yes, and of course I am going to also put electronic countermeasures on this particular ship. I'm going to leave the offensive retrofit empty though. So, and the ECM is going to guarantee me the brace, keep the ship alive. That's important because as many points as I have on here. But also, if I do find myself in that golden opportunity to salvo them, I might actually use ECM for salvo so that I can trigger Paragon twice. If there's the opportunity to do that, I definitely think it, and that it's going to, you'll be able to still stay alive. It could definitely be worth it. So I love having that flexibility. So those are my 2 heavy hitters. I've got 2 heavy hitters. 1 flagship, 1 the assault frigate. You don't want to shoot either of them because they both probably have salvo. They both have 3 dice in their rear printed arc. And again, that's another reason to put linked turbo laser towers on them because it gives them a red die reroll, which is really important when you're going to be attacking potentially 3 times in a turn. Or maybe even 4. It's possible you might attack 4 times. If somebody attacks you twice and you decide to salvo and then permanently lose the salvo and then attack, with 2 arcs. So, that's really, really cool. So what else are we going to put in this build? Because we are starting to run out of points. Well, great question. Initially, I'm jumping straight to flotillas. We could go for something like a Hammerhead and give it a little bit, but then we only have 4 ships, and I want to have 5 ships. I do have Strategic Advisor there, which gives me an extra, stall, but in a perfect world, I want both the MC-80 and the Assault Frigate Mark II to go last. And in order to do that, I need as many activations as I can. Now I can put 2 GR-75 medium transports in this build. It brings me to 378. I can't put a third. If I could, then I would do that, and that would give me a lot of stalling power. But since that's not allowed anymore, I could just do 2 and some squadrons. But I really don't like that. I want a little bit of extra firepower out of this build. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put 2 GR-75 combat retrofits. They're going to be able to attack. That is really the beauty here because I then turn around and I go up to the Pelta and I'm going to add Torrent Far to this. Now this brings me up to 397. This brings me up to 397 and now all of a sudden I'm looking very, very good. So in Torrent Far, since she works fine on the Pelta, granted he does have the blue die there for anti-squadron. But if I look at everything else, that's here, I am going to see, I'm going to see that, look, the MC-80 is going to get a lot of rerolls out of the blue, which again does work with heavy ions, right? If I can keep them close enough. It's going to work really, really well with the assault frigate, both anti-squadron and against anti-ship, and also for salvo as well. So Torrent here is really working wonders for the rebels. It's impacting everything. And the GR-75s. The GR-75s now are actually a better anti-squadron threat than their cheaper counterpart with the black die, because the blue die now is looking really good. Because you know the black die has a 6 chance. Now you got rerolls for your GR-75, and also they can shoot ships both front and rear. They got longer range for the blue, so they can do some anti-squadron stuff too. So you've got a decent anti-squadron presence here. We go between one, and of course the GR-75s. Well, they're not really going to get any benefit from take evasive action. I recognize that. I totally recognize that. So we go back. We look at this particular build. I feel like we've got just about everything in place here. We got a few points to spare though. So I want to make my Pelta a little more survivable. So I'm going to put an auxiliary shields team on the Pelta. What this is going to let me do is maybe first turn I take an engineering command. Maybe first turn I take an engineering command and fill up my shields. You know, and again, this is going to depend on you know how much firepower is out there, where I get deployed. I may have to start with a token. I may have to do that, you know. And now one of the things that I'm lacking in this build right now is the ability to transfer free nav tokens to this guy. So basically the way it's going to work is I'm going to have to engineer first turn, nav second turn, take a token, and then on turn 3, I'll start getting all of that maneuverability. Now, we can totally change this around. There's a lot of little ways we can change this. We can drop one of these GR-75s down to the basic version, and we could even move Torrent over to that one if we wanted to. We could then, make one of these guys a token passer, and there's a lot of little things. Or we could, drop an officer somewhere and, put Hondo and Naka on there, although he kind of helps your opponent too. So there's a lot of little things that you can do to change this around a little bit. But I like the flexibility of it. You might not have to use auxiliary shields team. If you think you're going to need the navigation earlier, then by all means, don't worry about it. But I do like this. I do like this quite a bit. We have 5 activations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if you count Strategic Advisor. At 400 points, we probably won't be first player. And if we are first player, that's cool because we could still end up being, last in, first out. So that works really well also. But we're really making great use of Torrent, great use of take evasive action, comboing with anti-squadron batteries, anti-ship batteries, salvo attacks, fishing for heavy ion emplacements, and between that and then the linked turbo laser towers, I really like what we have going on here. Even getting some GR-75s, the ability to attack. Maybe they'll even run some concentrate fire commands and roll 2 blue dice and get some re-rolls on those. And I love that. It's really cool if you can line it up. You could even find yourself in a situation where a GR-75 flies parallel alongside a Super Star Destroyer, manages to get like front arc and rear arc on the same ship, double arc and kill, all right, that's a little bit unlikely, but it could happen. Let's look at objectives and what would benefit a list like this. So I'm going to go down here to the assault objectives. I think there's 2 really good ones for this that I like. Anytime I'm running naked GR-75s, I always like to run Most Wanted. I think Most Wanted is a great option for a list like this because I get to basically pick my opponent's flagship, say that's the most wanted ship, and then if I blow it up, I'm going to get double points. And also I get an extra die every time I attack it. Since these GR-75s are shooting ships, they're also going to get extra dice as well. That one works really well. To a smaller extent, I also like opening salvo here, but I'm going to go with advanced gunnery. I think advanced gunnery here will be make basically either my MC-80 or my assault frigate, and probably my MC-80, by far the better ship. But it's a little riskier because my opponent could end up getting a benefit from it too. However, usually ships that really would benefit from advanced gunnery end up already coming equipped with gunnery teams. so I don't really have to worry about that as much. But then watch, I'm playing against somebody with you know, a super Star Destroyer, and they don't have gunnery teams, and they'll be like, oh, no problem, I'll take advanced gunnery, and then I'd be mad. But I think it'd be fun to run advanced gunnery here. Although I think if I was going to a tournament and trying to be super serious, I think most wanted it may be the better pick. But you guys can let me know in the comments below which red you would choose. For our yellow for defense, I am going to default, and I know I'm probably boring when I do this, but anytime I run no squadrons, I almost always go with fleet ambush because it has the built-in caveat that squadrons have to be deployed last. So you know, in addition to me splitting their fleet in half, I'm also ensuring that the squadrons are not able to you know, be used to delay. And even if they are running squadronless, I'm still splitting their fleet up, which is really cool. So I'm a big fan of that, and it gets me potentially a little bit closer to them. I can deploy in a double arc position, kind of forcing them to move right away, which still, you know, guarantees that I'm going to get to trigger Defiance at least once. You know, so like that sort of thing is great, and I'm all about it. So if I can manage that, that's great. And you know, having no squadrons, I'll really suffer with the deployment disadvantage. And for blue, I'm going to go with Solar Corona in this case. I think it's, you know, I could make an argument for superior positions because of the extra yaw that I'm going to have with this build. I might have a slightly easier time maneuvering around to a ship's rear side. So I think you could make an argument for superior positions, but I just feel like Solar Corona is going to be so much better, especially if I do end up going against a squadron build. So Solar Corona seems quite safe. Again, since a lot of my ships are going to have a single defense token, I like Solar Corona denying accuracy as much as possible. That's going to be really nice with the MC-80 since it's going to have a salvo. For the assault frigate, since it's only going to have one of each. Of course, for the GR-75s, and even the Pelto, which doesn't have any duplicates. So I think Solar Corona is the clear winner on this particular build. All right, guys. Well, that is all I've got for you today. Let me know what you guys think about this build. I think this would be a fun list to play. I'm actually looking forward to this one, and I'll put a link to it down in the description below. Of course, it is got a placeholder in here, so you're not going to be able to run. You won't want Ruthless Strategists on this one. You'll want to swap that one out for oh gosh, what is it? It was translated, but it's the local fire control system or something like that. So, but that's basically the new card, and that's in Wave 8. That's going to give you a salvo token, or you can swap for one of your other tokens. All right, guys, that's all I've got. Thank you. Let me know what you guys think in the description below. Big thanks to the patrons on Patreon. You guys are amazing, and you definitely help make this channel possible. So thank you guys so much. And as always, have a great day.